everybody, and welcome. This is NBL Free Agency Market Wash, NBL Overtime. To be fair, it's starting to get really psyched. I'm starting to get really pumped because the season, I can see it, and still the rosters are being completed, which means I don't know the name of this thing. I do know the name of this guy. His name is Liam Santamaria. Hello to you, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It has been a busy little stretch. A lot of teams getting a lot done in this last little bit to finalize their rosters.
Hey, teams do it in different batches. Some go early, some take their time, some come with a bit of a run. And because of it, there's always conversation about what are this team doing? That conversation centered a lot around Illawarra for a lot of this offseason, but they've gone bang, bang, bang in the last couple of weeks. Let's talk Illawarra, mate.
Well, let's start with Justin Robinson.
Yes.
Because I think he's a really good signing. He's a point guard that they need. The right kind of guy, a really good defender and an excellent distributor. And this is a guy who's been on that NBA fringe, operating right on that fringe the last few years. He was a guy who was on some NBL radars this time last year. So cool to see him finally arrive in the league. But I mean, 5 NBA teams in the last little while. So you're talking 10 days, 2-way contracts. He's right in that little space that Jalen Adams was in before he came to the NBL. Now, is he going to be MVP of the league? I'm not going that far, but he's going to be good for the Hawks in his ability to push in transition. I think Tyler Harvey's going to enjoy playing alongside him, whereas maybe he didn't a lot of the time with Xavier Rattan-Mayers. So I like this pickup from Jacob Jacobus and Matt Campbell in Illawarra.
That is something that I think sometimes gets a little bit forgotten, is that Tyler Harvey's on the roster, right? So like when we're talking about filling roster spots, we know how good Tyler Harvey is. He's there. So that's something that when we're talking, what Illawarra? Oh, hang on, they've got Tyler Harvey. They're going to fit nicely. I want to ask you, of course, because in comes George King. Have you got a nickname for this guy? Because I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to feature prominently via the NBL social media accounts. Do you have a nickname for him?
That's a very good question. I mean, I like the King George kind of element, just flipping it around, but, throw it out there. We're going to have a lot of fun with the royal element of what he's going to bring to the table. And he's an interesting one. So 6'6" kind of combo forward. So, of course, they lost Antonius Cleveland. Everyone around the league was looking for an Antonius Cleveland type. What's interesting, they've gone a little different. So he's less of a highlight reel, less of an athlete than Antonius Cleveland. Like a solid defender, but I think the key difference is this guy is a bit more of a jump shooting threat, which is what they wanted. So they want to keep that lane open for Justin Robinson to slash into, for Tyler Harvey, Dan Greeter when he comes in off the bench, for Sam Froling to operate picking and rolling to the rim. So George King, a guy who likes to shoot from range, has shot it from pretty well from out there over a number of years. And that's what they're going to look for him to do.
Hey, the name Shannon Scott had been bandied around and the whispers and the rumors that he was going to be in the league, and it was made official. Finally, he's going to be here in NBL 23.
Yeah, so they needed like a floor general, the type bands. They got to Jim McCall, who you can play at the 1. And when you do, things get a little crazy. And maybe you go on a 10-zip run because you're getting steals and pushing in transition and he's spinning in the lane. But, he also was kind of one of the league leaders in turnovers last season to Jim McCall. Maybe an offensive foul or a turnover here. So they wanted a guy. Now they got Ben Air. Yep, but they wanted an import point guard who can settle things down. Defensive minded guy. So not a big stat guy, Shannon Scott. I mean, coming in after, 15 minutes a game, just a couple of assists per game off the bench at Bamberg in Germany last year. So this guy's not going to come in and be all league, but Adam Ford wants a guy with a bit of veteran experience to be solid when they need solid. And that's the idea with Shannon Scott.
Hey, grab the huddle if you haven't listened to it yet. You have a great chat with Adam Ford. And this guy fits perfectly into what he says to you, that he has a particular plan about the way they're going to play and the people that are going to fit it. And, of course, until the ball gets tipped up and thrown up and we're into it, we're not going to know if it's actually going to work. But the off-season plan from Cairns, this guy fits it. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it does when it finally gets rolled out in a couple of months' time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always fun when someone drops the Damien Martin line.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, you're really sort of stating that he's going to be your guy defensively. So when you come up against Justin Robinson, you come up against Gary Brown, guys that are going to give you problem at the point guard spot, you're saying Shannon Scott's the guy we're going to put on him, nullify that kind of impact. So that's a big role that you need to have, a guy that can stop a premier perimeter scorer. When you're talking Damian Martin type defenders, then you're putting pressure on that guy to get that done.
Let's get to the Adelaide 36ers because they've had an outstanding offseason. Now, we spoke about Robert Franks, but they continue to suggest that he's going to be here, and that's exciting for us and the league, and in particular Adelaide and all their fans. We know Mitch McCarron has had a really good offseason playing for Australia. He's about to do it again. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun, and Craig Randall fits nicely. He's in town, ready to go, and the 36ers fans watching this right now should be getting very pumped up. And if you haven't got your tickets yet for the opening game or your season tickets, get buying because this team's going to be cool to watch.
Yeah, they always support their team. So it's going to be, that stadium's going to be full this season in Adelaide. Man, Craig Randall is intriguing. I'm fascinated to see how it works out with him there in Adelaide and with him in the NBL. The numbers last season in the G League were ridiculous. You're talking 26, 27 points a game. Fascinating. This is a guy, like undrafted. He didn't play anywhere the season prior. It didn't find a deal anywhere around the world that he felt worked for him. So he just worked on his game, then comes out in the G League and puts up 26, 27, wins G League most improved player over the course of that season. Now, the efficiency is kind of meh, 41% from the field. A lot of, he was shooting 13 threes a game and only just kind of like less than 2 free throws a game. So it's kind of like a little bit Tyler Harvey in terms of letting that thing fly from long range. Now, if he's hitting, great. If he's hitting like he was for a lot of, in certain games, he had some 48-point games, back-to-back 40-point games in the G League last season. Now, the scoring doesn't always translate. It didn't translate with Dusty Hannahs. He was a 20-point-a-night scorer in the G League. What Deng Adel did in the G League didn't necessarily translate to the NBL. Could it translate with Craig Randall? Absolutely. Is it for sure? Like when Jalen Adams was coming in last season, looking at his game, I was like, for sure what he does, especially at the offensive end, is going to translate big time. MVP, champion. With Craig Randall, I'm not certain. Could be everything, could be something different. I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Hey, just quickly on guys that you've mentioned recently, Dengakuth was one, and it finally comes around, and here he is.
Yep, Dengakuth, Adelaide. They needed an extra body up front. They may need another extra body up front in the next little while, depending on how things play out with Robert Franks. But yeah, Dengakuth, we mentioned he was on their radar. They were looking for another big guy there alongside Kai Soto off the bench. Dengakuth's back in the league.
Hey, Phoenix filled their roster. No, hang on. They've got another roster spot. Are they fill yet, Phoenix, or not?
No, they got one more to go, but they've found their backup for Mitch Creek, Grant Anticevich. You were in the UCLA beanie. He was with the rivals, Cal Berkeley. And I flagged early in the offseason, there's a guy that would get signed by someone at some stage, and here we are.
On just the roster spots, how many have we got to go? How many have we got to go? Because I get told this morning, we've still got a few of these shows to go, which means there's still a couple of announcements to come in the next couple of weeks. What are you most looking forward to? What do you most expect to be filled sooner rather than later?
Well, there's five to go, not including Robert Franks in terms of fully contracted positions. Now, the one I'm waiting for is the New Zealand shooting guard, right? There's been reports about Barry Brown Jr. We're waiting to hear confirmation from the Breakers. There's another import to come in for Brisbane, and then locals, Melbourne United, Illawarra, and the Phoenix, who I'm expecting to be another big guy.
Hashtag NBL free agency market watch. It is all happening at NBL. You don't miss a second of it. Make sure you grab the huddle. Liam had a great chat with Adam Ford, as we spoke about. It is all going down in the next, pretty soon, because to be honest, preseason camps are underway. Until next time, see ya.